Greetings and welcome to another episode of Q Points Podcast. I am DJ Sir Daniel.
And my name is Jay Ray, sometimes known by my government as Johnny Ray Cornegay III. What's happening, good people?
You are tuned in to Q Points Podcast, the podcast dropping the needle on Black music history. We is here. It is still Black History Month. While you're listening to this, Jay Ray, how you feeling?
Listen, man, I'm feeling really, really great. It's been a beautiful week, but for us recording this live, Valentine's Day just passed. I felt like it was a dope day of just like love, period. We got our Slow Jams Can Heal Us stuff out. I'm feeling really, really good. How you feeling, man?
I'm feeling fantastic. Slow Jams definitely healed the sinuses because as you can hear, I've got my voice back. I don't sound like I have an elephant sitting on my forehead. So I feel fantastic. Glad to chop it up with you again. And of course, to speak with our guests. I'm very excited about the guests that we have coming on as well. And a lot of stuff happened over the weekend, including the Super Bowl, but we are going to talk about that a little bit later on. But first and foremost, Jay Ray, tell the people how they can maintain a really good relationship. We're coming off of Valentine's Day. Yeah. How can they maintain the love between me, you, and them?
My goodness.
People, let them know.
Absolutely, y'all. So as we say, every time you hear our voices, if you can hear us, if you can see us, that is the most beautiful thing that you can do because that means you are tuning in, and that's really, really important. You can do us a solid by hitting subscribe wherever you are. That will give you notifications about when we have our upcoming shows and when we have new stuff that you can tap into. Check it. If you want to go a step further, listen, share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with your colleagues, because if you love Q Points, chances are they will love Q Points as well. That's also absolutely free. Another free thing that you can do is you can tap in with us at Q Points Magazine. As we say, we're really proud of the conversations that we are having over on Q Points Magazine. We can't talk about everything on Q Points, y'all. We don't have that amount of time. So Q Points Magazine is our place where we can dig in to some topics that we don't always get to, right? Completely free to sign up. Now, if you want to keep the lights on over in Q Points land, right? You see these beautiful lights like back there behind DJ Sir Daniel. If you want to keep the lights on, you can shop our store at store.qpoints.com. We have brand new merch out there. We'll be having a lot more merch this year, and you can shop and, stay up with your boys.
Absolutely, because y'all aren't going to want to hear Q Points being recorded at a Starbucks or any other stuff. Wi-Fi costs money. Internet costs money. You all know that. And in order for us to continue with this quality, not quantity, quality, we have to be, we got to sell this merchandise. And the shirts are beautiful. Like you saw us, all three of us had on Slow Jams Can Heal Us paraphernalia last week, and we've got even more. The stuff is upgraded. You need to get it. Cop it. It's going to look beautiful in the springtime, throughout the summer. We have a guest tonight, Jamie, that is going to shed some more light on the history of Black music performers and the Super Bowl. So, J-Ray, why don't you introduce our special guest this evening?
Absolutely. So we are so excited. Michael Motley is joining us, and we saw Michael's recent podcast episode and blog post is titled "How In Living Color Created the Super Bowl Halftime Show," and of course our antennas went up like, yes, Michael needs to come over to Q Points just to hang out, just because he's a cool brother and needs to hang out over at Q Points. But also, we want to talk about the important work that he is doing on his podcast, One Mic Black History. But I'm going to read his bio and then we're going to get him up here because we definitely want y'all to meet this brother. So, Michael Motley is a cloud engineer and podcaster specializing in Black history and championing its integral role in American history. According to Motley, quote, my initiative is to shine a spotlight on lesser known Black historical figures and events and illustrate their profound impact. It is our pleasure to welcome to Q Points our brother Michael Motley. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I love it. I love it.
Well, we got to lay it out for you and make sure the people know who we're dealing with here. Michael, please let people know how One Mic, the podcast, One Mic Black History, the podcast got started.
Oh, wow. I saw a lot of Black history content that was being created by people they didn't look like us. They didn't look like me, and I felt like there was a void there. There was a void that I could feel. And granted, I didn't, I've never gone to college. I don't have a degree in African-American studies, but I've always had a passion for it. And I just felt like I could, learn on the fly, learn with my audience. So I'd learn and study and deep dive into each one of these subjects. And then I, put together a script for the people. It's been a fun ride. I've learned a lot.
Man, oh man. So we originally got connected to One Mic via your podcast, of course. You also have like a really active YouTube presence too with your podcast. Right. How did this all come together? Like, was it always like the plan that you were going to do it this way, or did it kind of evolve over time? Like, what was your process in pulling this all together?
Wow. Well, when I was doing the cut, that was the video podcast too. I was putting out videos and creating a podcast episode. So doing a video podcast was kind of always there. So even when I came up with the idea for One Mic, I always knew that I was going to do a video podcast. And honestly, it's exploded so much so that like one video on YouTube has more views or more listens than my entire podcast in the history ever. Like I got like 90,000 views on the podcast, and I got like 20 or so videos with like 100,000 views.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I can't understand it.
What do you think to that point? Why do you think this content, because it is historical content. I remember tuning in I was on a road trip and I was listening to you talk about Black Wall Street. I think I had caught something. But why do you think that this content is resonating so much with folks?
We live in a society right now where Black people, and especially Black history, is being marginalized, and they want you to be increasingly disconnected from your history. So this type of people, and one of the things that I've always told myself is I was going to tell these stories as authentically as possible. So even if the story is like, oh man, I probably wouldn't have said that, that still needs to be told, because you need to understand that these people were whole people. They weren't a myth. Martin Luther King wasn't a mythological person. He was a real guy to put his shoes on, one foot at a time. You need to see the whole story.
Absolutely. And it takes responsible people to do that, to take up that home and be responsible for putting out that history, like you said. So your most recent episode, of course, was in response to the Super Bowl and halftime shows as a whole. Mm-hmm. And just so tell us a bit about the episode and some of the surprises that people will find out once they listen to it regarding the halftime shows and the Super Bowl.
Wow. One of the things that was super interesting to me, because, I'm a lifelong, you can see the Panther thing back there. I'm a lifelong football fan, and I don't remember the time where there wasn't a Super Bowl halftime show. So when I heard that, I was like, Live in Color? No, that ain't right. I can't be right. That can't be right. So when I went and started researching it and looking into it, I was like, wow, this actually happened. Like Michael Jackson is the progenitor to the modern Super Bowl halftime show, and that's crazy to me. I don't even remember. Honestly, don't remember his performance, and I kind of wish I did. I probably should go back and look. But since then, I mean, the idea that you got, Beyonce and Usher and Prince and Michael Jackson and all of these heavyweights that have carried on that legacy of creating a spectacle. Because like no other sport does this. No other sports championship game before 1992. I think 92 was the last year. Before 1992, it was just a regular intermission. Like nobody had any. They didn't have any plans. It was just a way to get you from point A to point B. You can go take a bio break, go get some more beer. The idea of you putting on something during the halftime is a Super Bowl creation and a Super Bowl thing. They don't do this anywhere else. So the fact that you turn this into like, even if you don't like football, I need to go see Usher. That's amazing to me. I mean, even me, like, I didn't leave my seat. I was sitting here like, yo, while y'all talking, I need you to stop playing and bring out Usher. Like, stop.
Right. I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, when the Usher show started?
Yeah, when is Usher coming out? It's like, stop playing.
The same thing. And that is a testament to Black Star Power and the amount of money that Black stars bring in. Is there a particular Super Bowl halftime performance that resonates with you the most, Michael?
Man. I am a huge Prince fan. Love Prince. So that halftime show, that's like, you can't top it. Like, it doesn't matter what happens after that. This is my guy, and I got my moment, and we're good now. I can die now.
Who else can, in the middle of you singing Purple Rain, who else is going to have the rain
come like the rain
while you're singing Purple Rain? Nobody. If that isn't divine, I don't know what else is.
Right. Like he knew.
Man, so fun story, by the way, Michael. As you go back and watch the Michael Jackson halftime show. So Daniel, I think you know this because we've talked about it, I think. But there's a podcast that came out last year, which was actually one of my favorite podcasts, was called Think Twice, Michael Jackson. Shout out to the producers of that show. It does make you think twice. That's all I'm gonna say. So go watch it. Anyway, one of the things I learned from that, I remember watching Michael Jackson during the halftime show. So what we learned is that what we heard as an audience watching on TV is not at all what happened in the stadium. So, fun fact about the Michael Jackson halftime show. It was the first time that the NFL had done this thing. Michael Jackson, who was at the height of his superpowers, this is 1993, 2 years after Dangerous. This is Michael Jackson, right?
Yeah.
So, the audience did not know what to do when Michael Jackson came out. So we at home are hearing all of this applause. According to Think Twice, Michael Jackson, they pumped in the audience sound for the TV. In the stadium, it was not like that. The people in the stadium didn't know what to do because, Michael was doing his Michael Jackson thing. He enters the stage, he stands there, and he's going to stand there for a smooth minute before he does anything. Yeah. Apparently the Super Bowl audience in 1993 had no idea what to do with that. They had never seen anything like it at the Super Bowl. You got this black man who don't look like a black man standing up there staring at me in these sunglasses. Is he broken? I don't know. But at home, we heard applause. Apparently in the stadium, that did not happen. We only heard it because we were watching it.
Wow.
So I say all this to say, people often talk about, they're talking about like the Alicia Keys moment. And it's like, oh, if you go back and watch the video, that's not what happened. And I'm like, but here's the thing. Apparently they've been doing that sort of thing for years with the halftime show. We're just learning about it now. So Oh, but my favorite, what is my favorite halftime performance? Actually, I do think it's Beyonce's first performance. I think it's the 2013 Beyonce performance. Although I highly enjoyed Rihanna last year and I highly enjoy Usher this year. But I think sitting at the top for me is that Beyonce. What about you, Sir Daniel?
I'm going to go with the Bruno Mars Beyonce
Coldplay, I think, was on that.
combo, only because I love the fact that she once again turned the United States upside down on its head for doing the formation song and talking about in regards to black police on black people violence. So that always resonates with me. But as far as entrances are concerned, we cannot sleep on Madonna's entrance. Madonna's entrance was kind of crazy. That whole Egyptian procession,
Mm-hmm.
like visually, that was a spectacle.
Mm-hmm.
That was a spectacle, and we cannot. And yes, thank you, Mark McPherson, for reminding us that every Super Bowl performance is Janet Jackson Appreciation Day.
Absolutely.
We will never forget what happened to that sister and the almost decade long
Mm-hmm.
shadow banning that she experienced from the from the world, period.
Yep.
And for her to come back from that, it's definitely, we don't ever want to forget Janet. We always speak Janet's name and we always remember Janet on that day. And she knows that that the people are still rooting for her, and call it Janet Jackson Appreciation Day.
Yeah. And one other thing, you mentioned Madonna's entrance. I still think Diana Ross's exit was like legendary. She went up in the helicopter. I'm like, oh, Miss Ross is they're going to bring a helicopter onto the field. They would never do this in 2024, but they brought the helicopter onto the field and Diana Ross got in that joy and like flew out.
And just was like, all right, Sean, I'm out. People were like, oh, okay. Michael, do you happen to know, like, as far as costs are concerned, like, is there a particular performance that stands out as the most costly, or that has any kind of fiscal number behind it that's like, whoa, that was, I don't know if they were expecting it to cost that much to do?
I don't, but when I was doing research, they mentioned that that the performers don't get paid, and I kind of vaguely knew that, but they cover costs and expenses, and they were mentioning that could exceed 14 million dollars. So I'm assuming around that number. I mean, if you're gonna tell me I can spend the 14 million, I'm gonna spend 14 million.
Oh yeah, that performance is gonna be hot.
Yeah, it's gonna be hot. Bring on everybody. Hey, you want a hotel room? You want to do the Super Bowl? I got you. I got you.
And then you could drop music, you can drop a whole project, and it's gonna sell. Like, Rihanna hadn't put out a project in 2 years since her performance, and all of her catalog re-entered the charts.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how powerful a performance can be. So yeah, it's not anything to shake a stick at, that's for sure.
No.
Indeed.
No.
So, Michael, for you, so going back to One Mic Black History, what is one of the most interesting Black history facts that you didn't know about that in doing your show that kind of sticks out to you as like, wow, I did not know that?
Wow, I thought about this, and I really kind of have to. I'm in a circle. It's kind of a circle, but I know a lot of people don't go to church as much anymore, and they ask, what's the reason for the Black church in the community? They don't act, but there was a time when they were major contributors to the Black community, and during the early 50s, if you were an activist, the way they would normally get at you is through economic reprisals. So somebody like Ruby Bridges' parents, they lost their jobs. They got banned from the supermarket. Rosa Parks, Claudette Colvin, both had to move out of Montgomery because they couldn't find jobs. They couldn't find any way to sustain themselves. So this is where Black ministers had an advantage because they would typically only beholden to their congregation, and that congregation was typically owned by the Black community or their congregation. So they were not beholden to that regular Black power, that white power structure. So they couldn't be fired, and they were already leaders within the community. So when it came time to step up, they were a natural person to lead that movement because they weren't beholden to anybody but their congregation. Now, granted, there were some who said that they only should serve the spiritual needs of their congregation, but we left them in 1960. So this kind of brings us a little bit to my second point, because in 1955, when Rosa Parks was on the back of the bus and she refused to get up, you know what I'm saying? And they organized a boycott. It was only supposed to be one day. And they decided that they were going to extend this indefinitely till they got what they wanted, till they got these buses desegregated. Anyway, so when they were picking the leader for that movement, they called the Montgomery Improvement Association. And that group, like I said, was full of ministers. They were like, well, who are we going to get to step up? And they chose a 26-year-old minister from Atlanta, and the rest seems like his history. You're like, oh, of course they did. But do you know why they chose him? It wasn't because they saw something important in him. They chose Martin Luther King because no one knew who he was. He was in Montgomery, and he was so new that he did not have any enemies at the time. So he was the perfect person to lead a movement because he didn't have any enemies on either side. You know, yeah.
Timing.
So, timing. And it turns out he was the perfect person, but they didn't know that.
Wow.
And see, that's the kind of information that needs to go viral, that needs to be celebrated and shared in these podcast streets. So, Michael, please let our audience know what's on the horizon for One Mic. Any particular episodes that you're super excited about, and of course let them know how they can find you and stay in contact with you with regards to One Mic.
So I have an episode coming out tonight at 12 o'clock. It is about buffalo wings. It's about buffalo wings, and I didn't even know this. It's about a Black man named John Young, who fights for control of who invented the buffalo wing. So I think you enjoy it. I found it was dope. I learned something I didn't know. So yeah, check that out. I'm going to try to move outside of food, start doing more episodes. I want to start delving more into musical stories. So I think that's the next step, is doing more music. I like that idea. You guys talked about Sister Rosetta Tharpe and Big Mama Thornton and people like that. Like, I feel like those stories need to be told, and they haven't been, not in a genuine way. So yeah, you can find me on Threads at @1mic_history on Instagram. It's by the same name. On Twitter at 1mic history. You want to reach out to me? I love talking history. You want to talk? You can always message me. It's kind of what I do. And at 1michistory.com, you can check out all my episodes.
Super important. Everybody, please give it up for Michael Motley. We've truly enjoyed your presence on the show. Thank you for stopping by. Again, everybody, make sure you follow him and make sure you tune into the latest episode, because that just made me hungry.
Right? Yeah.
And there's always a story. There's a story behind everything that we hold dear to us now, and I guarantee you, there's a Black person behind that story, J. Ray.
Right. Absolutely. Michael, thank you so much for joining us. And for all of y'all who are out there watching us, thank you all for hanging out in the chat. Stay tuned, because on the other side of this segment, we are going to be talking about Usher. And of course, he just performed at the halftime show, but we're going to talk a bit about his career and just kind of reflect on Usher's place in Black music history. So stay tuned. We will be back here at Q Points. We'll see y'all in a second.
This is They Reminisce Over You. I'm Miguel.
And I'm Christina.
They Reminisce Over You is a podcast that celebrates and honors the best in music, movies, and TV from the past.
We get into the careers and legacies of some of the biggest names in hip-hop, R&B, and pop culture. From discussing the groundbreaking music of Missy Elliott and Mary J. Blige,
to exploring iconic moments in TV and film like the chaos at the 95 Source Awards. They Reminisce Over You has something for everyone.
so join us as we reminisce over the artists, movies, and TV shows that have shaped our lives and continue to influence popular culture today.
And we are back. We're right smack dab in the middle of the conversation. First of all, shout out to Michael Motley, our guest, dropping those gems. And please go support that brother and his podcast, One Mic. We're all about preserving our history. And Q Points is here. We're discussing now the history of one Usher. It is pronounced Usher Raymond the fourth, I believe, and his not just the performance during the Super Bowl, but we've got to discuss his body of work.
Yeah.
And what I think most important about Usher, we got to talk about his showmanship, because that is something that is truly made him the last of his kind.
I agree.
Mark my words, Usher is the last of his kind. And I don't know if that's really a good thing to say, because you, the audience, are, and the people, the young people after us are the ones who are going to suffer because Usher is the last of his kind.
You know what? I think that's really interesting about Usher. And I think this halftime show really brought that to light. And I know that there has been a lot of, or I saw a lot of criticism about, oh my God, that wasn't that great, whatever. The number of things that Usher had to do on that stage in a very short amount of time, including skating. I was like, I know Usher's into skating. I didn't expect that to show up. I wasn't surprised when it did, but I didn't expect it because I'm like, I don't know how they're going to do it. It's not enough time, right? So the amount of things that he had to do in the amount of time that he had, you talking about his showmanship, is really important. I hope what young performers take from the Usher performance and is that you have to hone your craft, right? And you have to take it really seriously, because I think Usher's in a unique position in that he was a child star whose beginning, and we'll talk about it when we get to the music piece, his beginning wasn't certain. You know what I'm saying? Like, that first album, it wasn't certain that Usher was going to pop. You know what I'm saying? Like, the first album ended up kind of being a false start, which I know that we'll get to. But what we knew then and what we know now is his talent. He was committed, and his talent was like really big. There are there are names that people throw out that are like Usher. I don't think they can do what he did. And listen, that is not to take away from the names that people have mentioned. I think those people are talented too. However, when we consider the amount of hits that Usher has amassed over the course of his career that are universally loved, there's a special kind of talent that comes with that is unique. And I don't know that there's a bunch of people that can do that.
Yeah, when I see, of course, on Black Twitter specifically, and social media likes to play those games and pit people against each other. I really do believe that they are trying to compare apples and oranges. That's what it boils down to me. Like, I get why you want to throw somebody else's name in the mix, because those people are sons of Usher. Okay. No, they are sons of Usher, and they do exhibit qualities that could lead to some comparison, but there's something there that's missing. There's Well, the kid has the goods. He's always had the goods. He's always had that. They've been able to put Usher in any situation. Commercially, he fits. He's the boy next door. He is, he's the heartthrob. He's the bad boy when he needs to. He, but he's also old enough to have come along where he had enough time to be influenced by a lot of great people that came before him. And hats off to his mother and his whole team. They made sure that his training wasn't just vocal or wasn't just dance, but he had a well-rounded upbringing when it came to being a performer. Like, I think that was the game plan from the beginning, was that I'm not just going to be a singer. I'm going to be a full-fledged performer. I've got Sammy Davis Jr. to look up to. I've got Michael Jackson. I've got Marvin Gaye. I've got Prince. I've got
Teddy Pendergrass, all of these
people. Excuse me, all of these people to look up to and to aspire to look back on their performances and say, I can do that, and put my spin on it as a young person. And you're absolutely right. That first album, we got to give it credit to the Bad Boy remix. If it wasn't for the Bad Boy remix, we may have not, excuse me, gotten the Usher that we have gotten today. There's a lot that came about. Thank God he was able to have that experience and have that sprinkle, that sauce sprinkled on the music. Because and also remember, J. Ray, he was an adolescent when he recorded that album, so of course his voice had to change.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I did reflect on Usher's first album, and this is something that I've talked about years ago, and certainly I'm sure we've even talked about this. When we reflect on Usher singing the songs that he was singing, like singing a Devontae Swing's "Can You Get With It" at like 13, it's like, okay, that's inappropriate. Of course, we were children. We were children too, right? So you don't see it that way. But now you're like, well, no, he should not have been singing that song. But I will say, as a testament to your point, back to that, like his mom, the LaFace team at the time, was able to shift gears, right? So, the first album really was the bad boy treatment, of course. But then it's like leaning into Atlanta, where he from, and it's like, we need to get Jermaine Dupri in here.
I think that's where we really see the magic. Yeah. And again, not for nothing, Jermaine doesn't get the credit he deserves. Like, a lot of people that have, if you look at Usher and you look at Mariah Carey, people that have had
TLC, all of them.
You see all those people that have had the opportunity to incubate with the Jermaine Dupri, he really has been able to give them some hits, some long-lasting, legendary music.
It's so funny that you mentioned that. This is an aside, but revisiting the Jermaine Dupri era and the Janet stuff is actually not a bad thing. Like, I do think I have always...
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. I've been critical. I've always been critical of the 20YO era, but it's not all bad. Like, I'm able to go back on it now and be like, oh, I see where they was going. I see where he was going. So saying all that, so JD, now, okay. The first record, false start, good intro.
Mm-hmm.
I did not see the My Way. You Make Me Wanna was like it was a lightning rod that flew through the industry. And as a listener, that was Usher in his bag. I'm like, oh no, this is what he needs to be doing.
Yeah, You Make Me Wanna definitely. So I was a big fan of the My Way joint. Like, Jermaine has a knack of putting R&B singers over some really hard kicking beats, and putting him on that remix, the My Way remix, was definitely dope. It made the video turn Usher into a bona fide video star and a sex symbol, if you will, because his chest kept popping out of everywhere. He was wearing less and less clothing. But to your point about My Way, not My Way, but You Make Me Want. There's something about a song that impacts radio like a You Make Me Wanna that is absolutely geared to women, geared to that demographic. And imagine that he was able to have middle schoolers and women his mother's age like really be into him, which is kind of a weird place to be when you're barely 16, 17 yourself. And you've got girls that you're too young to talk to, and then you have women that have no business lusting after you at the same time, really enjoying your music and also propelling you to superstardom.
Listen, and Usher was into that, because if it's one thing we know about Usher, we know what type of women Usher into. And he was probably like
older women's.
He liked an older woman. So you're right. And then I think to that point of the showmanship, because I think there's the moment that we talk about when I like recognized Beyonce, and it happened in a music video. And I remember watching that Crazy in Love. And when she looked back at the camera at the end, and I've actually talked to several people that was like, no, that was a moment where it was just like, oh, we saw this. Usher had the same moment in You Make Me Wanna when he slid out of them shoes at the end. I'm like, yeah. I don't know how they managed to do that, but that's a great ending to a video. And yes, this young man is a star. And I think when you now take that, you got a formula. Because at this stage, now we're in Usher's superstar phase, right? So 8701 happens. You get the same incubation. So you got a Jermaine Dupri, you got a Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, you got a Brian Michael Cox. You got like,
bro.
Yeah, these people are like the ones, right? And not for nothing, You Don't Have to Call is one of my favorite Neptune's productions ever.
Talk about that again. Something there has to be. I don't know if it's been studied, but somebody has to tell me what is it about a song that impacts radio that has that kind of effect. Mm-hmm. It was just the perfect combination of the kick. The Neptunes definitely had a recognizable kick drum pattern that they used for their beats. Then there was the synthesizers and him gliding effortlessly over that music. The video on top of that, it's a conversation that he's having with us at the same time. And then we get to see the visual where he's getting ready with his friends and they're doing
the dance, the slide, they're doing the slide dance. Now, listen,
that's a whole movement. That's a whole, as the kids say, a whole vibe that he created and made his own. You wouldn't have an Omarion after that doing the popping and this before people were crumping and whatnot. I really do think that Usher used his influence in the dance medium, and again going calling back on his influences like Michael Jackson and wanting to do something. You could tell he wanted his own moment.
Yeah,
performers want their own moonwalk moment. Usher clearly had his moonwalk moment with those videos.
Yeah.
Speaking of Michael, that whole 8701 era, he had a chance to be on stage with his idol.
Yep.
At that Michael Jackson tribute concert.
At the Michael. Yeah. So thinking about how important it is to, once again, hone your crafts, take it really seriously. Training. I can't say it enough. It's the training. So every stage, it's like, no, we're upping the ante. And then we really up the ante to what's now a diamond selling album. There's like, how many? There's not that many of them, especially black men. I think Michael Jackson is one. The other one is Usher Raymond. Confessions. was just such a big album.
We got to touch on Confessions and what kind of propelled confessions to the heights that it went, because we also see that Controversy helped push that album to #1 as well.
I mean,
Which
of course.
is becoming a thing, right?
Right, which is becoming a thing. So that's when we realized what type of women Usher was into, because Chili was older than Usher, and they was still a cute couple, right? But then we get Confessions, right, which is leans into, like you said, the controversy to sell it. You of course have
Also
Usher.
But also more adult subjects.
Absolutely.
The whole dilemma over whether or not he had a baby on the way by somebody else.
Right.
It was dating Chili
Yep.
publicly. So that just made for a wonderful storm, but it was costly to their relationship, of course.
Absolutely. And I think we got one really sentimental slow jams from Usher during this era. Because you still listen to these songs today, and they're not necessarily begging and pleading. They are confessions, right? Of here's what went down, right? And from my perspective, I will say one of my least favorite Usher songs is one of the biggest hits of Usher's career, was of course on this record, and that's Yeah.
Oh, you're not a fan of Yeah?
I am not a fan. And you know what I think it was? It was everybody's white whatever. If you was going to anything where white people was doing a thing, yeah, it was there. This is how we do it. Like, it was playing.
Oh, that's a great comparison. It really did become there. This is how we do it, because it became that stadium song.
Yes.
It was definitely like a rock and jock jams type of song. Shout out to Lil Jon and the whole Crunk E era, which is huge for Atlanta.
Yeah.
Crunk E was definitely a moment. And but yeah, I have to admit, I was in the club when Yeah was really burning up the charts. I was working at the radio station, and we had a night at Club Envy on Peachtree Street, and Yeah was heading up the charts, and the DJ played it at the right moment. I mean, literally, you could see all the program directors were there. We were all looking around at the people losing their minds to that song, and it was like that song was added everywhere. It just kept going up and up the charts. It's just one of those infectious songs that I think Black people definitely like. But to your point, there's also another Usher anthem song that Black people absolutely hate.
I hate OMG so much.
Black people hate OMG. I love OMG. One, because to me it's not. I think it fits in perfectly in a Baltimore club set. And I think because shout out to DJ Danny Class, also another Atlanta Baltimore legend. I got to work with him a couple times here in Atlanta as well. He remixed that joint, and that went bananas. That is a certified club banger. So when people say they don't like oh my God, I'm kind of perplexed. Like, Danny Class put his foot in that remix. What is it about? It's Baltimore club music, and we created Baltimore club. We love Baltimore club music.
Well, okay, so I think the thing about OMG, first of all, by the way, this is definitely in the Usher musical pivot era. This is definitely, and Trey is in the chat like justice for OMG. I love that song. So listen, our homie Trey also is right there with you, Sir Daniel. I'm not a fan. I don't like that song. I will say this. I think OMG also suffers from the Will I Am effect. Will I Am, in that particular moment in time, was producing some of the most kind of soulless pop music I had ever heard. And I think that's also the problem. So I think part of it is not liking OMG is a thing, but it could be possibly, I'm gonna speak for me. I'm gonna use an I statement.
Okay.
It could be part of it is that was that era of Will.i.am productions that I was not into. It was way far from like the Justin Timberlake Future Sex Love Sounds whatever record, which I liked the Will.i.am stuff on that record. So I think that's part of it. I will say real quick, this is the era from a Usher album perspective that eschews the kind of nucleus that made those the 8701, the My Way, and the Confessions records. Like, you know, you get a Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, you get a Jermaine Dupri, you get the core, right? Now Usher is a superstar, so now he's going international. So he's doing these international club records and all of that. And so this is Usher's wilderness period in full of hits for Usher, right? There's always bangers in that period. Like there's joints in there that I like, but I'm like, you got OMG in this period. I don't know.
Yeah. You know what we kind of skipped over? So with Usher's Super Bowl performance, a lot of stuff kept coming to the surface. And other thing that I was really surprised about, you think people hate OMG? J-Ray, people absolutely hate My Boo. And
I like My Boo.
When we were talking about this off the air, you said that there's a specific reason why they don't like My Boo, and it actually came to fruition during the Super Bowl performance.
Absolutely. People do not like My Boo because they do not see it for Alicia Keys. Like, My Boo, in my opinion, is one of Usher's best collaborations. Like, I like that song. I enjoy it. So I wasn't surprised when I heard that Alicia Keys was performing, I'm like, oh, they're obviously going to do My Boo.
Of course.
And when I saw people's reactions, I was like, oh, y'all really don't see it for her vocally. That's one thing. But I'm like, y'all don't see it for her at all.
At all. And I think that was that was the main thing. And it was like, it became a meme immediately. As soon as she hit that, or she didn't hit that note at the beginning, everybody kind of collectively did that. You had one job, Alicia. You had one job. And she did exactly what they said she was going to do. And people, you're right. I was just really surprised, like, how much people do not like that song. I could take it or leave it.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things. I think it's for me. It's just that super saccharine. It's really sweet.
It is. Pop.
But I get it. It's that, high school sweetheart kind of song, and I could take it or leave it. But that moment of songs that people don't like, it really kind of shocked me at how much people. It's surprising. You really have to be careful who you do a duet with, because that could really change the way people feel about a song. And there's another Usher song I just came to me that and I liked it at the time, but when I listened to the subject matter, I was like, this is kind of creepy. This is bordering on trafficking and SA.
Which song?
I'm talking about what is it with Nicki Minaj? What is the song?
I don't know this song. Do I?
I'll go take you to see Usher. But basically, Nicki Minaj is acting as a go-between between a young girl and Usher.
Oh no, I don't. Okay.
Somebody in the chat, please help me with the name of this song. It just completely left.
Well, here's the thing. So here's the. It's so funny that we're having this conversation, because I do think some of those cringe moments even show up in Usher's current record. That I was like, I mean, I wouldn't sing that, but so saying all this to say, I think this era of Usher, full of hits still. There's still a lot of joints that became a thing, but there was also just stuff like Lil Freak. I think I know, if I heard that song, I would probably know that song. Because there are some songs I just blocked out, like OMG, I kind of blocked out. And then I'm like, oh my God, he's doing the Super Bowl. He's going to have to do that OMG song. And I'm like,
But OMG makes sense for the Super Bowl, though.
It makes perfect sense. So speaking of, okay, I know that we immediately went into the music. I do want to say, I know I said this earlier, but I think I want to underscore it again. Because Usher's catalog is so diverse, doing that many songs across that many styles of music is difficult, and the fact that they nailed that was really important. But I think the step further is the fact that there was like all these hidden Easter eggs, that 7:00 on the dot, which people was like, no. Like, he was standing at 7:00 if you looked at his shadow. So there's that. The Easter egg about the tribute, you know what I'm saying, to the the band director that passed away. Yeah, the drummer that passed away. That the saluting Atlanta, the Atlanta chant at the end, right? That got me so hype. So there was all of these like little things that I think made that performance really special.
And here's another thing that we have to give to Usher. Usher's Vegas residency is proof that, first of all, Vegas is not for washed up has-beens. Like people thought, or there used to be this thinking that you go to Vegas if your career is at an end. No. Vegas is somewhere you go where you're at the pinnacle, and instead of you touring around, people come to see you.
Yeah.
And I think that's a true testament to his talent and to his fandom. And so what also happens is that residency allowed him to perfect a show. And that allowed for him to have, say, I've done the roller skating thing on stage, so I can do that on a bigger stage in front of the Super Bowl because I've already done it. I've done it a million times. I'm not scared. You may have had like a slight, a slight snafu on stage, but it was seamless.
Yeah.
I think if you blinked, you would have missed it.
Yeah.
But I think it needs to be said that him going to Vegas is something that a lot of performers should consider.
Well, because the beautiful thing about Vegas too is kind of like also doing Broadway, is you have to do the show so frequently, right? So you can't, it's harder to phone it in, right? Because you have to, these people are paying a lot of money. This is a destination for them to see you, and they expected you to give them the show. They want the same show Keke Palmer got. Whatever show Keke Palmer got, I'm getting that show. And so I want that too, right? So you get to train on that stage, on those stages in Vegas. So I agree. I really do think the Vegas show helped Usher to really fine tune, like, what is, like, to really solidify, I think, ultimately what his legacy will be as a performer. I'm looking forward to seeing how this tour goes. We're now kind of taking the Vegas show out of this one place and kind of taking it around the world. And I'm looking forward to that. And I think the Vegas show is what probably, listen, this was strategic. I'm sure that Vegas show is what sold this Super Bowl thing. It was like, you see what this is given? You see all of this buzz? Put this brother up there on that stage and let him do this thing. Which also, of course, brings us to the fact that Usher has a new record out. It's called Coming Home. It is a record where it's like a lot of songs. So it's 21 songs. It's over an hour. It's a record. And I listened to the record, and all the way through, actually, which is a good sign. I listened all the way through. And there were many moments on the record that I enjoyed. I will say I liked the record. I didn't dislike the record. I liked the record. I will say I am interested in performers getting out of the kind of like mini producers, mini writers moment.
Mhm.
I really want to hear Usher and Jermaine and all them brothers like back in the studio, just kind of incubating a project that's like has a consistent sound and all of that. I felt like Coming Home I was like, this is mini homes because this is kind of a lot of different sounds where, you know what I mean? So that was the one thing about it that I was like, oh, this is a lot of different things and themes and sounds happening.
So
Risk It All with her is a thing, Trey, by the way. You know, that's top tier R&B.
So I think what Ray, what you're experiencing, and a lot of us are experiencing, is that Usher, this album, of course, they knew was going to be launched in conjunction with the Super Bowl performance, which will propel him, which will help out with sales, right? So then, but we also got to remember that Usher is every day. People like Usher who are in our age group are being reintroduced to a new generation each and every single time. So I think what we're experiencing on an album, on cuts that probably you would probably throw away in your, because it's not something that's in your wheelhouse, but he probably still has to do cuts to appeal to a certain generation so that he can have something to pull them in. Whereas you and I, especially me listening with DJ ears, I'm listening for things that I can spin that are going to bring people on the floor. And I too would love for producers to think about the intros of these songs and what makes a great dance record, because the people at Renaissance proved that the people want to dance still. There's still room for a good old 4/4 beat on the floor for people to jam out to that could be played at the cookouts. There's still room for that, and Usher has that in him. Usher needs to have that in his catalog as he steps over. He's in his mid 40s. He's stepping into 50 and above. He's gonna need those Frankie Beverly and May kind of records under his belt for when he may not be able to jump from off a pedestal like he used to, or may not be on the roller skates like he used to. So I agree with you in that aspect. I do want them, and they have it in them. It's in them. There are cuts on the album like that now. And I'm just, that could definitely put that into the mix.
Yeah.
I think we just want to hear more of it, but I understand. I think they're coming from this is still a business, and we still got to sell records, and we still have to capitalize on this moment. So there's got to be something on there for everyone.
And I do think, yeah, you're right. And I also get that in this streaming moment, you gotta have all the songs gotta hit the chart. That's such an interesting thing to me. Like, I'm like, there was so much more, and we talked about this previously. There was just so much more variety on the charts when it wasn't like this. What are you thinking? Your brain is turning.
I wonder. I would love it. Maybe this is an experiment, and I don't know if Usher may be the person for it. It's too late now. I wonder what would happen if they only released this album in physical copies. And what kind of response would that have if it was only available in physical copies and not relying on streaming per se? Is that death to an artist today if you're not on streaming platforms, or maybe at least for the first 30 days? to see what happens. You could still sell physical copies because artists like Usher that used to sell diamond physical copies
Yes.
could probably still do it. These new artists, I don't believe. If you made physical copies only, I don't think that would work for them. But I'm really curious to know if that could work for a heritage artist like Usher. Could you do that?
I think the challenge with physical copies, and I love them. I mean, obviously, we're very analog. We got records all around us, right?
Right.
I think the world has conspired against us. And let me tell you, my brother, shout out to my brother Ed, he is resisting. He has resisted. His requirement for cars is it has a CD player. Like if it don't got a CD player, it's just not the car for me.
Mhm.
And most new cars today don't have them, right? So I think the challenge with physical copies is you are relegated to listening to that physical copy in a place you can't be mobile, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or you have to go an extra mile to make that a thing. You know what I mean? So, but I will say, when you are hawking physical copies, I do think there is a different conversation that I think there's a different approach. You know what I mean? There's clearly a different approach that you would take from an artistic perspective. Because if you're selling a physical copy of something, that's when that sequencing really becomes a thing where you like, how do I get you from point A?
All the songs on the show, on the album. You're right.
You know, that's why them Janet Jackson records was so good. Not only were the songs good, but it was like, oh no, she got you from here to here in like a consistent way. So you knew how you were getting there. So I don't know, but I will say this gets me thinking about Usher's legacy, and I'm curious to your thoughts on this. Like, what do you think? What are your thoughts on Usher's legacy now that we've kind of come out of this Super Bowl moment?
Oh, well, his legacy is solidified. If nothing, this whole moment with the Super Bowl, Vegas, it's all led up to this moment. His legacy is solidified. And we are about to, I don't know what's going to happen next, but he really can write his own check, if you would, at this point of his career. Like a Beyonce. He can dip and dive into whatever he wants to do at this point. He has earned it. He has earned the respect. He has earned the cultural cachet. He's earned all of those things. And so at this point, it's really his game. He can do whatever he wants to at this point. I don't think he's even the hiccups that he's had along the way. The Usher hasn't had a whole lot of controversies. He's had some rough stuff here and there, with the accusations and whatnot. I think he's done a wonderful job of distancing himself from other people who are crumbling, who are crashing and burning.
Child.
He's done a wonderful job of distancing himself in that respect. I think that part, he's now married again.
Two small kids. They just cute as they want to be.
So now he's moving into another era where I do believe he is going to he can call the shots on whatever he wants to do. I don't even know what his label situation is these
independent
days.
Yeah,
he's independent. So yeah, he's one of those few artists, that's why I called him the last of his kind. He is those few artists that are around these days that have paid enough dues. They came along at the right part. They came along to where they're young enough to still appeal and to still dance and, do a two-step and, have all the sex appeal, but they've been in the game long enough to where they've earned that respect from the industry.
Yeah.
Not the listeners and the audience, but he's earned that respect from the industry to where he can do whatever he wants. He can release a fashion line. He can, if he wanted to, he could be a model. He could release more colognes. He can concentrate on those things right now because he is truly a household name. He is the product.
Yeah.
It's not music anymore, just about the music. Usher is the product, and he can literally write his own check.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with all of that. And, to that point of you mentioning, he just getting married. So shout out to Usher, because apparently they got married Super Bowl Sunday as well. And his now wife is, of course, the mother of his 2 youngest children. But speaking of that legacy piece, I was grinning ear to ear in researching for this show because I saw, I went to Usher's social media and I saw great pictures of his 2 older children holding the younger children.
Yes.
And I'm like, that's it. You know what I'm saying? Where you have like their 2 older brothers, just kind of holding these their little sisters. Cause I think, yes, 2 little girls, I believe. And that's also part of the legacy, like Usher, just being like a dad. Cause I don't know that we've realized Usher's a 45-year-old father, of 4 children.
Yeah.
Has been married twice.
Yeah. Yeah. And those are things that aren't easy to do in the public eye.
Mm-hmm.
That's not something easy to do in the public eye. Like I said, he has had his, his public trepidations when it comes to his personal life. But, I get it. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if after this tour, that's what I wanted to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
If after this tour, he went and sat down somewhere and was like, and just sat back and didn't do anything for a while.
That would actually be super smart. So I would not be surprised, especially him being 45 with 2 like younger children.
Mm-hmm.
You need time. You know what I'm saying? You need time. And so this could be, let me get all this in now, because in about a year, y'all ain't going to hear from me for a minute. I'm going to raise these little girls with my wife, be a husband, be a dad, and be able to take care of, solidify the future of my family and my children. I would not be surprised. And you know what? And we talked about this on the show before, because we talked about the fact that there's all of these people that were kind of eyeing retirement, like a Rihanna, like a Nicki, like a Drake. And I think it's important that it's okay to stop. It's just sure. And so I would not be surprised at all.
Absolutely. So this is what I wanted to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that people what had people kind of gagging were the prices for Usher's concert. And so there were people that were kind of like, that's kind of ballsy to ask that for that kind of money, Usher. This isn't Vegas. But I think a lot of people, the sticker shock was a lot of people really are still recovering from paying for those Renaissance tickets as well.
Listen,
completely honest.
I get it. Pitch out people was gagging at the Janet prices too, like, because Janet's going back out. You know what I'm saying? People are like, oh no, Janet. Listen, you either gonna go or you not. That's all.
Period.
That's what it is. You're gonna go or you not. That's it. Like I don't know how much it costs to run a tour like what Usher's gonna do. I have no idea. You know what I mean? I'm sure it's expensive. It's not costing $20. He's gonna have a huge crew. It's expensive to do. So,
and honestly, that the Vegas residency wasn't cheap either.
No,
factor in travel as well. So it's like, okay, guys, calm down. We are in an era where concert tickets are heavily inflated, especially if you're in our age group. Back in the days, those $20 ticket days, they're done and gone, guys. I'm sorry. We were lucky enough to experience that, but those days are gone. So
right. Sir Daniel, I don't know if you saw this. This is an aside. This is not related to Usher. But did you see that there is a festival that's going to be happening in LA that's being headlined by like Diana Ross, and I was like,
the bill.
Yeah, everybody was on this bill. I'm like, I want to go to LA. Like, this would be a festival I would go to. People going to be sitting down. Like, it's going to be people going to have good sense at this festival.
It's going to be age appropriate for us. It is. Listen, that I'm looking forward to. If that's a thing, and they're not just throwing people's names on the bill like some of these other festivals, I am there. I think I would definitely go to that because where else are you going to see Diana Ross and Lionel Richie on the same bill?
On the same bill, headlining, and well, all of these people, I'm like, oh, this seems like the festival for me.
Right, and to be quite honest, J Ray, the likelihood of you and I going to a say like a Coachella is probably 0 to none at this point, because especially since Beyonce did Coachella and that's never going to happen again,
Right.
there's a reason for us to go to Coachella. And thank you, Mark. It's called the Fool in Love Festival, the end of August 31st, 2024. We might need to look into
listen.
That's they're gonna have clean restrooms and
right.
And it's not in the desert, perhaps.
It's and I literally saw that and I'm like, oh, this feels like a thing. Like this feels appropriate.
This might be able to pull out your linen pants and Jesus 23s, those sandals that you've been, that might
I'm gonna be doing a 2-step with a wonderful older woman there, I'm sure. She's gonna be like, come on, baby. I'll be like, come on, man, let's get it.
That might be the move for us, Jerry, because I can't do. You'll never catch me at like a Travis. What's his name?
No. Travis Scott. Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
No.
This might be the move for us, but I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation about Usher and his legacy. Before we close out, J Ray, we do have to give our condolences to the one person that lost their life and the 20 people that were injured during the Kansas City Chiefs parade. Again, America, this is our legacy. I think I really do think if America wanted to do better, it would do better. It could
do better.
But unfortunately, we're still giving thoughts and prayers.
Again. Vote for people in your local elections, because the change starts from the bottom up. So listen, you want people to not thoughts and prayers you to death? Vote for the people in your communities that ain't going thoughts and prayers, that are going to actually get some stuff done in your local communities, in your states, so that you can send those people to get stuff done on the federal level. So, my goodness. Yes. So sending love. Want to definitely us also shout out our brother Michael Motley for coming through and just being a joy. Thank you, Michael.
That was absolutely fun. We absolutely enjoyed you, Michael. And yeah, J Ray, let's let them know one more time. Like you said, go vote for those people. You need to vote for Q points with your dollars.
Absolutely. So first and foremost, we have new merch. Store.qpoints.com. Go get you some Slow Jams Can Heal Us merch. We're celebrating Slow Jams all year. So our first merch drop for 2024 is out now, so you can get you some stuff. So that's one thing that you can do. But thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can get information on Q Points whenever we have a new show or something for you to check out. Also, please go on over to our newsletter and subscribe, magazine.qpoints.com. That's where you can stay up with all things Q Points as well. But we just appreciate y'all so much. And I want to definitely, Kipper gave us the name in YouTube, so I want to bring the name of the person that was killed in Kansas City. DJ Lisa Lopez Galvin was the person who was killed in Kansas City. So we speak her name and send love to her family and friends. Oh, America, we got to do better.
America. Well, listen, guys, what do we always say? J Ray, in this life, you have a choice. You can either pick up the needle or you can let the record play. I am DJ Sir Daniel.
My name is J Ray, y'all.
And this has been Q Points Podcast, dropping the needle on Black music history. We will see you on the next go round. Peace.
Peace.